Welcome to the Space in Between podcast, a series where we will talk about everything and anything mental performance in a bite-sized fashion.
My name is Sienna and I'm here with Frida. We are both certified mental performance consultants from Ireland and Sweden. I'm from Ireland, Frida's from Sweden. And on this podcast, we share our knowledge and passion for all things sport and performance psychology, including all things mindset, exercise, sport, everyday life, and insights into how we help ourselves and others in developing our mindsets. Episode 11.
Exciting times.
Yeah.
Today we're sitting here in a snow-covered Galway.
Mm-hmm.
We woke up this morning, last night it was snowing a lot, and we woke up this morning and it's like I'm in Sweden.
Yeah.
Very strange.
It reminds me of Minnesota.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And where we live, it's kind of remote, so there is nothing to shield us from the snow. So I think we got all the snow.
Yeah.
Compared to other people around in Galway. We've had people say, "Where do you live? Another country?" It's mad. It's been mad. Anyway.
All right, so we are here to do a podcast. And as you may have guessed from the title, today we are going to talk about 4 ways that we can reframe failure.
Yeah. It's a good topic.
Yeah, important.
Hopefully we can all learn something together. These, let's say 20 minutes. Let's see if we can keep it to that today.
Yeah.
So one of the first ways that we wanted to talk about how you can reframe failure is by defining your own success. And Sienna, what does that mean?
Well, in sport, often our idea of success for ourselves and for other people is based on the outcome. So winning.
Yeah.
Either a championship or a individual game. And this is a very easy way to define success in a way. Like if you win, successful. If you don't win, not successful. But that can make it really difficult because for most people and teams who compete in their sport, most of the time they're not going to win. Like there's only very few teams and individuals who win most of the time.
Yeah.
So if our idea of success is only based on winning and losing, then every time we lose, we will believe that we have failed. So thankfully, we can define our own success. Yes, winning can always be the goal, and that can be a simple metric of success, but we can have other ideas of success. So for example, that might be having 3 to 5 objectives, things that you want to focus on during your performances. And after the game or your performance, you can sit down and rate yourself from 1 to 10 how you did on those things. And that could be a way for you to define your own success. Like if you're 8 out of 10 on all the things you had identified, then that was a pretty successful performance. Or someone else might base their success on how they carry themselves in their performance. So after the performance, even if it was frustrating, but you're proud of who you were on the court or on the pitch, well, that could have been a successful day for you. And sometimes it's easy to get trapped in the idea of winning being the only type of success that there is in sport. But each of us kind of have our own idea, even if other people have different ideas of what success should be. You know, for me, I go into every handball competition and the goal is to win. And yeah, I'm disappointed if I don't. But then there's other metrics of success as well. Like, because I think about handball as an individual sport. Wow, words. And like that can be really difficult. So something that I think of as being successful for me is like being disciplined in my training and showing up and doing that anyway, even if I don't particularly want to all the time. So then, you know, coming into a competition, I can say, okay, I've already been successful because I've done the preparation.
Yeah.
So that's one way that I can say I've been successful already. And that's just a very simple example.
That's powerful. And I think, you know, with handball too, that's a very interesting, well, I suppose most sports that have a similar setup as handball, you go into a tournament, there's only going to be one person that's successful, with quotation marks now, because only one person will win, right? So if your success is winning the competition, there's only one person out of how many?
Yeah.
You know? So that is also another reason why it's so important to have those other things that we might base our success on,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, and it can be hard because oftentimes when people ask you, like, how did you get on?
Yeah.
They're asking about the outcome.
Yeah.
And so we can easily get drawn into, well, the only thing that actually matters is winning and losing.
Yeah.
But that's not true. That's just the thing that most people talk about. But that doesn't mean that it's the only way to be successful.
No, for sure. And like comparing that to, let's say, a team sport where you play camogie or football or something. You know, usually a season, there's many games in a season. So you might take that success, the outcome. Now I'm not talking about the outcome, right? Weekly. How did that game go at the weekend? Oh, we won or we lost or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's refocus to next week. You know, how did that go? Okay. But even there, you know, it's important to have those other metrics that we're looking at when it comes to success.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there you have one of them anyway, to define your own success and to look for those other things and I suppose, like you said, write them down. And then that can help you to define your own success.
Yeah.
And then another thing that we wanted to talk about with reframing failure was to look at your progress and to see your progress. Sometimes it can be very easy for us to get either super snowed in, pun intended, on where we are right now, and maybe forget to look at the whole picture.
Yeah.
So the progress that we have made over time, and especially if we only maybe look at, well, outcome, win or loss, etc., time based, whatever it is, and if that's our defined success, then as well, we bring it back there. We might not look at the progress to get to the point where we are right now.
Yeah. And that could be the risky thing about your only idea of success being winning, because then you don't really look at the performance itself or the skills that you executed or did not execute.
Yeah.
So that's why looking for the progress, that can help you see that even if it wasn't a championship winning season, you could have made loads of progress in many different ways. Like it could be your physical performance, your mental performance, maybe your preparation, you know, the balance you have between your sport and your everyday life. Like there's so many ways to make progress in this environment. And by looking for those progressions, we can see that we're growing, and that can make it a little easier when maybe we don't get the outcome that we want. To be like, okay, I didn't get the win, if you will, but at the same time, I have progressed as an athlete and as a person.
Yeah, and I think about a personal example with this. So I did a triathlon earlier this year, and one of the most challenging things for me for that triathlon was that I had to swim 800 meters, and I've never swam like that before, ever, until I started to prepare for that triathlon. And then on, I was going to say game day, but on race day, like I wanted to front crawl the whole 800 meters. But then there was a lot of things in the water there that, you know, I went out a little too hot, heart rate got too high, etc. And I was unable to do that. I was mixing breaststroke and front crawl back and forth, because that's just kind of what happened. And I completed the 800 meters, right? Because I completed the whole race. So that was great. But then when I thought about my triathlon afterwards, I was like, oh, I don't feel that good about that, you know? Like I'm kind of disappointed that I wasn't able to do what I had set out to do. But then when I think about that as a whole picture, I'm like, okay, Frida, you swam 800 meters in this race. You have never swam like this before. That's amazing, you know, even if maybe the outcome that I had wanted from the start was the outcome that I got on that day. But then by reminding myself of, think about where you started. You can even swim like 50 meters without gasping for air, you know, front crawl style. So that's like a real life example for me to look at that progress, you know, and remind myself of that.
Yeah, and that's like huge progress that maybe you wouldn't have seen unless you actually really thought back on it.
Yeah, exactly. Because that could have been very easy for me to be like, oh, that was so bad or whatever. I didn't do what I was supposed to do. But then, you know, I was like, no, I did that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and I think about that, like, in a team sport can be even more difficult when you're surrounded by other people. But in a team sport especially, like, you can be successful literally, even if everyone else on the team doesn't play well. So that's why it's really important to think about yourself. Obviously, you're a team player, but as an individual too. And like, if your team loses or maybe doesn't play well, maybe you can like reflect yourself and think about, okay, well, what progress have I made this season or even the last few weeks? And that can just make it easier to handle whatever happens.
Yeah, for sure. So here's your reminder to remember to look at the whole progress.
Yeah.
And not only get bogged down on where you are right now or what's happening right now. Because a lot of the time it's not necessarily about the outcome, right? Or the goal that we achieve. Well, obviously that can be very exciting. Not going to take that away. But a lot of the time it's about the journey to even get there, right?
It's about the journey, not the destination.
Oh, wow. Even if we may or may not get, the outcome that we wanted.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that neatly leads into the third way, and that is to find opportunities. So when we say find opportunities, what do we mean?
So this is something that I have applied myself a lot. Because like the first...
In the last week?
No, I was actually thinking about like the first 6 years of my senior career in handball. Like in the first few years of my playing in like the open division, like if our idea of success is winning and losing, like I didn't win any major tournament, and that can be really difficult. And in handball, you pretty much play the same people over and over again.
Yeah,
so you
really
lose to the same people over and over again. But something that really helped me to continue to make progress and to not get too down on myself after a defeat or maybe even a poor performance was after every time I would lose, I would reframe that by thinking, okay, the fact that I lost means that there's someone there who's doing things better than me. And they found weaknesses in my game. And they exploited that. So that means that there's aspects to my game that I can improve. So the same way my opponent is looking for my weaknesses, I should be looking for those areas that I can improve. So then I would tell myself, this is really exciting because there's so many things that I can improve, So that means I can get so much better at this thing that I'm doing.
Yeah.
So then I would look at my game and ask, okay, what's the areas of improvement? I'd pick out one or two, focus on them, and then next time I'd play the same person, it would be nearly a test to see, okay, have I improved those things? So by looking for improvements, it just made it, in a way, it's nearly like you're figuring out your own game and how you can strengthen all areas. So there's not as many weaknesses to find.
Yeah.
That's how I think about it in my own head.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's many different ways you can apply that.
Yeah.
But really, it comes down to the same thing. Like when we're going through hardship or failures or whatever you want to call it, there's always going to be opportunities for something. You just got to look for them.
And that's something I think is really cool. Like, I play an individual sport, so handball, and like one of the things that I love about handball is there's always something to improve on.
Yeah.
Like regardless, like you win the world championships, like I can look back at that game and be like, okay, I can definitely improve on X, Y, and Z, and like that's really cool because like even if you win every competition, there's still things to improve on.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And I'm kind of backtracking now, but if your only idea of success is winning and losing, let's say you do win most of the time, then that's not very helpful idea of success really either, because then maybe you do neglect reflecting and seeing, okay, where can I improve?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's one of the things that I think is really exciting about like sport or anything that you're putting a lot of time into to do well in or get better at. Like you're never going to reach your limit.
No. And that's an exciting concept, right? And I think with looking for opportunities too, that is such a strong tool or skill to have. Especially if we apply that to life, like everyday life, to anything we're doing really, because that can be really difficult. If we, what we're talking about now, like failing, right? If we fail, that can be really hard.
Yeah.
So to be able to look for opportunities in those difficult moments, now that's strength.
That's true.
And that, like I said, that's a really powerful tool to have. And yeah, it can be really hard to find that silver lining or something to latch forward or latch onto, and then work towards. Because it would be a lot easier to just be like, well, moving on, or like,
Yeah.
that's it, kind of thing. So I think that's also one of those things that separates people and athletes, in a way, being able to look for those opportunities. And with, finding opportunities, I think this perfectly leads into the last thing as well that we can use to reframe failure. And it's to remind yourself that once we fail, that just means you've just found another way that didn't work. So that means you're one step closer to finding a way that will work.
Yeah.
That kind of goes hand in hand with finding opportunities as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just like another step towards where you want to be. Like every time you fail, if you will, you're just getting closer to success, whatever that is to you.
Yeah. And, that's also, while sometimes we might say like fail forward, so like, well, keep moving forward anyway, and there was something else that I was thinking about there, but now I can't remember what it was.
The only time that I would say failure is final is if we ignore the other three things that we've talked about. So like if you said if we fail, so I'm using that word is like, I'm using that word, but it is whatever it is to you. But let's say we lose and we see that as failing, and then we never think about it again. We just avoid thinking about it. We just try to move on. We learn nothing from it. In that case, that failure is final. You haven't taken anything from it. That doesn't mean you're not going to make progress in the future, but like in that moment, you're not using that information to help you. So like the way that we can use failure as a step in the right direction is to reflect, is to see the progress, is to see that there's other ways to be successful. And then we can continue to move forward even if there is a challenge along the way.
Yeah, for sure. And with that, failing can be uncomfortable. A lot of time it's not something we want to do. It doesn't make us feel good, I would say, right? But what's important to remember is that, if we avoid failure, we also avoid success. And the best of the best are where they are because they have failed over and over.
Yeah.
But they keep moving forward.
Yeah, and I think that's a great place to wrap it up. The best way to start working through failure is to pick one of the things that we talked about today.
Yeah.
And next time you feel like you failed, you feel disappointed in yourself, in your performance, try to apply that thing. There's no need to do all four at once, but you can try one of them, try another one, and start using those things to help you see failure as something that can help you. And with that, we thank you for spending this time with us, and remember to keep using the space in between.